Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to be ranking progressive metal albums again, and this time I got more albums from the bands in the other video. Now, some bands I did not include. That was mainly because I was not interested in listening to the other albums from those bands, or those bands only had like one progressive metal album, and the rest of their stuff wasn't really progressive metal, at least not all the way. So yeah, I included less bands this time, but I think I still included enough to where I can rank it fairly, and there's not only like 3 or 4 bands. There's still enough for there to be a full video. So yeah, let's get started with part 2 of ranking progressive metal albums. We're going to start with Awake from Dream Theater. This album's going to be an S tier. This album is almost as good as Images and Words in my opinion. It is my second favorite Dream Theater album. I was on the fence on if I should have included this one or Metropolis Part 2, but I think Awake's a bit more popular. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I think Awake is a bit more popular, so I included it. I pretty much like every song. I'm not going to go into too much detail because I already did my Dream Theater video. But basically, I like every single song. I do like the heaviness of the album, how it's heavier than Images and Words. All the big singles I like, and the more obscure songs I love. And my favorite songs include 6 O'Clock, Caught in a Web, The Mirror, Lie, and Scarred. So yeah, Awake is a great, great, great album. And if you have not listened to it, definitely check it out. Though you probably already have if you're watching this. Next we got Anima by Tool. And unfortunately, I don't like this album as much as Lateralis. I tried to give this album a chance. There still are a few good songs, but I was never really able to get into it as much as everyone else. Stinkfist is a really good song, though. I really like Stinkfist. And 46 and 2 is a good song as well. But besides those songs, I never really got that much into it. I'm not the biggest Tool person, but I still really like Lateralis. But Anima just never really clicked with me the same way. There's a few good songs, but it's really not that for me. So yeah, it's going to go into C tier. I know it's going to make a lot of people mad, but it's really not that for me. But it's okay. It's not bad. It's just eh. Next we got Ghost Reveries. And unfortunately, like with Blackwater Park, I'm not the biggest fan of Opeth. Like, I'm just really not the biggest fan of their sound. The only reason I included it was because they're just such a popular band. And they're one of the biggest prog metal bands, so I felt like I had to listen to Ghost Reveries. And I think I like this one even less than Blackwater Park. At least Blackwater Park had some parts that I sort of liked, but this doesn't really have a part that I like at all. I mean, I understand why people like Opeth, but this album just doesn't really hit it for me. And I'm really not the biggest fan of Opeth's sound. It's not that they're too heavy or anything. I'm just not the biggest fan of how they mix clean singing, death metal, and folk. A lot of their songs just go on for too long. I know that makes me sound impatient, but I am a prog fan, so I'm at least a little bit patient with music, so I feel like I'm patient enough to give Opeth a proper score. So yeah, D tier it goes. Sorry, but just not the biggest Opeth fan. Next we got Empire by Queensryche. Now I really don't know if I'd consider this prog metal or not, but it is by Queensryche, so I guess close enough. And I'd probably put this album in B tier. It's a good album. It's not amazing, but it's still pretty good. There are a lot of songs I'm not the biggest fan of, but there are also a lot of songs that I really like. And this album does have a lot of filler songs though, so that's why I said there's a lot of songs in there that I'm not the biggest fan of. But there are some good songs though. Like Silent Lucidity is a good song. Anybody Listening I really like. Scarborough Fair is a good song. I like the title track. Della Brown, Jet Scene Woman. The Thin Line I really like. A lot of the more popular songs I really like too, but I'm not the biggest fan of like the more fillery songs. Especially the song Last Time in Paris. That song just really sucks in my opinion. And there's a couple of other songs that I don't really remember that much because they weren't really that memorable of a song. But this is still a competent album. I would rank it higher if they removed the filler songs. And it makes the album like an hour and 16 minutes long. And it definitely doesn't need to be that long. I feel like this album would be much better if they removed the filler songs and just made it like 45 minutes long. So yeah, Empire by Queensryche's good. Not nearly as good as Operation Mindcrime. but it's still a good album, and it's still competent. And it does sound more commercial, so I don't know if I'd really consider it progressive metal or not. I guess it is. I guess it is, but barely. But yeah, I'd still say it counts for the list. And of course, it's Queensryche, so yeah, I still included it. Next, we got Dance of Death from Iron Maiden. Now, this one's also debatable if it really counts as progressive metal or not, but I'd say it does. I included Seven Son of a Seventh Son in my last video. So yeah, I thought Dance of Death could be a good inclusion. There's also Brave New World, but I feel like Dance of Death has more prog on it than Brave New World, so I feel like it's a better inclusion. And I'd probably put this in S tier. Of course, that album cover is not very good, but all they really have to do to fix it is just remove the 3D people. They can keep the Grim Reaper, the floor, the background. Just remove the 3D people, and it'll look good. It'll look just fine. And I really like this album. It almost feels like a concept album. It's not a concept album, but it feels like one. And it basically feels like a concept album about death and appreciating life. Like, the songs at the start are kind of negative, but then the album gets more positive as it goes on. And it is about dancing with the dead. Well, it is about like a guy who goes dancing with the dead, and then he realizes he does not want to dance with the dead, and then he'll live his life to the fullest and be grateful for what he has while he's still living. At least that's what it feels like to me. If this album was a concept album, that feels like what the concept would be. It's not, but it feels like one, you know? It's hard to explain, but that's what the concept feels like to me. And yeah, pretty much every song on here I really like too. It flows so well. The title track's one of the best songs they ever made. Age of Innocence is a very good song too. It's very underrated. Passchendaele is a really good song too. Gates of Tomorrow I really like. Very upbeat. Very motivating. No More Lies is a good straightforward song. And Montsegur. And yeah, the other songs are good too. So yeah, Dance of Death, I consider it prog metal. Especially since it feels like a concept album, even though it really isn't. And of course the songs are long too, and they use a lot of different instruments, so yeah, I'd say it counts. Next we got The Spectre Within from Fate's Warning. And similar to Awaken the Guardian, I'm not the biggest Fate's Warning fan. I know their later stuff kind of sounds different. Like, it doesn't sound the same, especially since they had a different singer later. But I still include The Spectre Within, because that feels like their second most popular album. Because I feel like their like US power metal prog stuff is their most popular. Like Awaken the Guardian and The Spectre Within. So I just include The Spectre Within. And I'm not the biggest fan of this album either, like with Awaken the Guardian. But there are a few good songs, like Epitaph or The Apparition. I like those songs. A lot of the other songs just sound samey, and it does sound pretty repetitive. Like I said, the vocals are not the best. Like I said in my last video, yeah, and it does sound very raw, like with Awaken the Guardian. Because I like progressive metal to have very good and big production, but Fate's Warning have very raw production, so it just doesn't really sound that good to me. But it's not terrible. It's decent, but I wouldn't really listen to it again. But it's not bad. Next we got Paradise Lost by Symphony X. I probably this album B tier. It's good, but it's not like as good as The Damnation Game or The Divine Wings of Tragedy. Though there are a few good songs I like Seven. Seven is a really good song. Or The Walls of Babylon. I really like that song too. And Domination. Domination's a good song. A lot of the other songs I'm not the biggest fan of. It's just, it sounds kind of repetitive. Like almost every song sounds the same, except for a few like ballady songs. But most of the songs sound repetitive and samey, which is weird because it's considered a progressive metal album, so you would expect that to not be the case, but it is. So yeah, but it's still a good album. There's still plenty of good songs, but I'm not the biggest fan of it as much as I used to be, mainly because it sounds pretty repetitive and it doesn't change sound that much, or at least as much as you would want it to. So yeah, I don't like it as much as Symphony X's other stuff, but it's still competent, still not bad. Next we got This Godless Endeavor from Nevermore. This is going to be a hot take, but I really don't like that album that much, so I'm probably going to put it in D tier. There's not really any songs I like. It is very heavy, which I guess is a good thing, but I don't like it nearly as much as Dead Heart and A Dead World. So yeah, it's gonna go into D tier. Not really much to say about it. It doesn't exactly change sound that much, besides a few ballady songs, similar to how Symphony X do things here. And yeah, it's really not for me. Nevermore are definitely a band with an acquired taste. Well, a band with a sound that's an acquired taste. So yeah, Nevermore. I like their Dead Heart and Dead World album, but their other albums just don't hit it for me. Next we got Leviathan by Mastodon. And I'm also not the biggest fan of this album. I already did not like Crack the Sky that much. This album just sounded even worse. I'm also not the biggest fan of sludge metal. And this is, of course, like a mix between sludge metal and progressive metal. So yeah, I'm really not the biggest fan of Mastodon's albums. So I'll probably put Leviathan in D tier. Even lower than Crack the Sky would be, like how it was in part 1. So yeah, sorry, but I really don't need a band that mixes sludge metal, stoner rock, and prog. Just not for me. Next I got Focus by Cynic, and I really like this album. It's a really good mix between death metal and progressive metal, and it sounds a lot like Death. So if you like Death, you'll like this album too. And it's not that long too, which is also a good thing. It's only like 38 minutes, I think, or around that time. And yeah, it's just a very good mix between death metal and prog metal, and it sounds jazzy too. So yeah, not much to say here other than good things. I like every song. It sounds very relaxing in parts, and it is a very good mixture between the two genres. Next we got Altered State by Tesseract, and it's okay. It's alright. The vocals are not too shabby. The vocals are pretty good. But everything else is not that memorable to me. I know this is one of the Djent albums. I'm not the biggest fan of Djent, though I do like this more than Meshuggah. But it's still not really for me. But it's okay. It's not terrible. It's okay. But Djent's not really for me. Even with clean vocals, it still doesn't sound that memorable or catchy to me. And yeah, the riffs, they're alright, but yeah, all I have to say is it's okay. Because everything's okay on it, just okay. Except for the vocals. The vocals are good. I really like the vocals. Everything else is just eh. So yeah, that's part 2 of ranking popular progressive metal albums. I probably will not make a part 3 anytime soon. I'm even surprised they made a part 2 in the first place. So yeah, we'll probably just leave it at that. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And of course, check out my other videos too, especially part 1 of this video, if you watched part 2 first. And yeah, I of course have other videos like shorts, general music stuff, ranking albums from bands, etc. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.